Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.
A warm welcome to Football Then and Now, episode 71. We have got a special guest waiting in the wings. I am Stuart Palmer, of course. I'm my co-host and cousin Chris Hume. We are back. Lots of transfer news that we're going to talk about when we get our guest on. So there's stuff going on, isn't there, mate? nothing concrete, but bids have been going in, haven't they? We're going to talk about, aren't we, Chris?
Yeah. It's starting to ramp up now, especially through, towards the, as we spoke about last time, the outside the top six, isn't it? Even though certain clubs in the top six haven't finished their business yet. But yeah, it's starting to ramp up. We're only less than 2 weeks to go now. You've got the Charity Shield this weekend. We've got the Premier League opening, on Friday next week. So, business needs to be, sorted for all clubs if they want to go into the new season prepared.
It's going to be mad the next couple of weeks. Definitely. I'm going to bring in our guest now. Special guest, Nate Rogers, Arsenal fan, TikTok creator, nRogers90 on TikTok. You don't just cover football, though. You do sport as well. We love your content. We really, really do. That's how we found you. Thank you for coming on. A warm welcome to Football Then and Now, Nate.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here as well, gents. Really an honour. Thank you.
No
I'm going to ask you, first and foremost, just some predictions for Arsenal and how you feel it's going to go. He's strengthened. It looks pretty good what he's done so far. There's talk of Eze, which you wanted to bring up as well, of course. Big transfer interest, of course, from Arsenal for him. So, yeah, just how you feel it'll go.
I'll be perfectly honest with you, and I'm sure you've heard enough of it. Again, I love my team and whatnot. Do I want us to win the league? Yes, I really do. Do I think we'll win the league? We need to take a look at the depth within our squad properly, because a lot of people, you compare the squads of back in the day, I mean, like of Invincible season, you could look at any position and we had someone who could quite literally step in and whatnot. As a centre forward, Victor's come in, and the hype around him, I just really do hope that he's able to fulfill those boots, because it is a massive amount of pressure. So I do think if we get second, I fear for Arteta's position, because he's spent a lot of money now. Do I think we'll win it? Again, it's all down to it's Liverpool's to lose in my books. I'm not going to lie. So I think, honestly, second. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans are going to disagree with my opinion. I just think unless we get Eze over the line, second. If we get Eze, yeah, I'm pitching us to win it.
Have you heard much about Mosquera from Valencia? Because Arsenal fans and friends of mine didn't know too much about him when I've asked him.
Again, I'm not going to say I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's got a lot of potential, obviously. However, it does reiterate we are looking to push certain players out the door and whatnot, and it does put me on the back foot, if you know what I mean, as well. Again, Gabriel, we've always needed someone to cover for him. Kirill's always been in and out of the squad, but he's got a lot of attention coming his way. But the big one that really makes me nervous is Saliba. Now, Real Madrid are no team to turn away. And again, we look at people like Thierry Henry, who turned down Barcelona once. Second time they came in, and he was like, you don't do it twice in your career typically. But Saliba, look, I will put it out there. If he was to go, I would have to put my hands up and say fair play. What a fantastic young talent he is. He's got every right to go and take a look at doing his career further. Do I want to lose him? No. But do we have to look at the likes of FFP or over our shoulder? We are nearing that point if we spend a little more, and Eze will tip us over that. So, yeah, we have to be cautious, but I don't want to let him go.
Very, very positive. Chris, question for Nate regarding Arsenal.
No, I think what the signings you've done this season, Nate, has been perfect. You've got rid of players you don't want. You've brought in players, I feel like, for every position is double. Sukumendi is absolutely a steal for the price you got. And I think, Liverpool were chasing him just, throughout the summer. And, come January, it was pretty much sold up then, wasn't it? But, deals in FFP, you kind of drag it along, don't you? And Victor coming in, like I have my things with it because it's all good scoring lots of goals in different leagues in different worlds and looking really, really good. The Premier League is just always going to be a different kettle of fish for any player, but he has got, championship level experience, and he did play a couple of games for Brighton in his early days, who they must be kicking themselves because they could have got a ton load of money if they kept him on. But going forward, you said about Arteta. I mean, Stuart, I've spoke about Arteta. If he doesn't get it, and if he doesn't win anything this season, his job is on the line. And, him being a fellow Evertonian player and, he loved the club. Minus that time he scored a penalty in the FA Cup and kissed a badge. And, forgive and forget. Do you feel like he's going to, take the pressure and really go and drive? Or do you think it's going to get to a point somewhere in the season where this pressure is going to mount and he's going to struggle?
Right. I'll answer that in two stages, if you will. First of all, about the pressure as well. For me personally, it alludes back to the days of having depth and whatnot. Hence why having Eze come in is a massive add to the left, because I'm a huge fan of Martinelli down the left flank as well as Trossard. However, there comes a point where certain games I can highlight 4 or 5 straight off the bat, to which you look at and go, why aren't they getting that ball in? Why are they not shooting from outside the box? There's a lack of confidence sometimes as well. And Eze is the right answer for that side. And I'll be honest with you, looking at the whole team, that's really the only area we need to strengthen. So in regards for pressure, I think as a whole, Victor can really carry it. On and off the pitch as well. He's made it very clear he wanted to be part of Arsenal as well. He can add those goals. And I love how he can hold up the play. He's almost got that Billy Big Boy mentality as well, which is brilliant to see. The downside is obviously, as you've just alluded to about Arteta, we miss someone like Pat Rice. Back in the day, someone who knew the club, who would chaperone every single young talent and new signing. I mean, the guy played for us. He came all the way through the ranks, managed us. He covered it. You name it. And until he had his unfortunate surgery and whatnot and had to retire from the game from management perspective, if you will, we never replaced him. And it's going to sound really silly, but that was one of the roles Edu was doing behind the scenes as well. He was physically making sure he was spending a lot of time with that squad, spending a lot of time with Arteta, actually understanding the squad needs. And I really do think Victor, he's one we've been looking at for not just a few months, a year and a half now, if I've read it correctly. But again, a lot of people look over your shoulder to like Sesko, which again, I know we're going to talk about later on. So in regard for pressure, can he take it? Yes, he can. Fly him, but that's where the likes of Saka, Odegaard really need to sharpen up as well with some of his deliveries, and several little mistakes at the back end of the season that cost us a goal, in particular twice where Raya played it to him in a position to which you think, okay, we had a bit of a go at Ramsdale for playing short. Is that something Arteta has slowly tried cooking back in? Or is that just a general keeper mistake, passing it to a player who actually hasn't looked around him? But a blast from the past, and I hate saying this as well, one of my favourite midfielders of all time is actually Paul Scholes. And the one thing he used to do, he just fan around before he got that ball. And the way he could just spread the ball was absolutely incredible. And that itself is something what Declan Rice actually brings to us of all players. I remember him back in the day at Chelsea for the youth, and he couldn't quite break in. West Ham really gave him that position to go forward. And I'll be honest with you, I'm stunned they actually didn't get him in the end. And I am so honoured to have such a great just a midfielder who actually can do an all-round. We saw his free kicks against Real Madrid. We've seen how he can hold the ball. So having someone like that in between the lines, if you will, that's priceless. Over 100 million spent, every penny worth. But and I'm going to bring up Eze as well and Victor. that's some big money spent on those two players. And obviously, you can see the difference with Rice. You are paying for a ready-made, there you go, hit the ground running. Eze, he's 27, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Again, same with Victor as well. That's a lot of money you're already cooking, or a little bit older than 27 for Victor, but that's not the point. It's just a lot of money and comes with that pressure. So I'm hoping that behind the scenes, Arteta is pulling him to one side, as you said, being an ex-Evertonian as well. I just want him to be able to chaperone them and actually say, look, okay, we're a squad. Let's support this going forward as well.
We got Lewis Young in the comments. Hi, all the way up in Falkirk in Scotland.
Yes.
Watches most weeks. Great having you on, Lewis. And we've got the man, the legend, Richard Crowhurst. Evening, chaps. Great show as ever.
Richie.
Yeah, all the best to Charlton
Evening.
this season, Rich. I know, obviously, you're living more in the Midlands now, but you'll be going to see them. And all the best to Charlton this season, mate. And fantastic, proper fan. Definitely. I'm going to move us on to Sesko, of course. It looks like United, he favours United over a move to Newcastle. Champions League football doesn't seem to be bothering if the reports are correct. I think Newcastle have put a higher bid in, but United's bid had add-ons as well attached to it. But it seems to me that he desires Man United over Newcastle. So thoughts on that one, Chris?
It's been a merry-go-round for Sesko in the summer because when we had that gentleman agreement, didn't he, for this window that he was allowed to go if the club that come in that he wanted. Obviously, Arsenal were rumoured originally, and then obviously I don't know what it was, but you pivoted to Gyökeres, and I think obviously you got him cheaper than you probably would have if you paid for Sesko. But you're paying for someone who already has European experience in abundance. Sesko has, but he hasn't scored near enough as Gyökeres has. Obviously, you moved to him. And then the merry-go-round with Newcastle and United. I feel for Newcastle, Stuart, Nate. They just seem to be going in for players and, really going for players that can boost them in the Champions League. And they're just not getting anywhere. It's like these players are choosing other clubs over the Champions League. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I recall back in the day, players always chose the Champions League, Europe, the highest level over anything. And I'm assuming like he's going to Man United because it's Man United, the reputation, the history, and the players they have brought in so far. They're okay, they're good. They've still got a lot of things they need to sort out. I thought in the second half against us, I thought we were very unlucky to even draw 2-2. I thought, I think if we had the signings that we were getting in, I think we would have edged that quite easily in the second half. But it's pre-season, and you take anything with a pinch of salt. But as Sesko goes there, what happens to Højlund? Because he's been Amrin's been saying how good he's been in this pre-season, but Sesko's going in to be number one, isn't he? He's not going to be number two or sit on the bench. So where does Højlund sit here? It's an interesting one, but I like Sesko. I think he's a good player. I obviously was quite happy if Arsenal were going to get him originally. You want all the best players in the Premier League, don't you? And I'm interested, but I do feel sorry for Newcastle. They just, like I said, they just can't seem to pin anyone down.
Look at all the players that Eddie Howe's improved since they've gone up there. He moved Joe Linton into central midfield. He was a striker, he was an attacker. Guimaraes has been absolutely brilliant. Tonali came back from the ban. The lengthy ban looked amazing when he came back in. Harvey Barnes, when he's played. Gordon had the injury, didn't he? Came in. It wasn't great in the second half of the season, I didn't, but in the first portion, he was amazing. So you'd think that would be a pull because he's improved so many players. But again, it's the financials as well. We know about that, even though they're in the Champions League. But to be turned down, so many players have turned them down. You know what I mean? James Trafford being one who's gone to City, heavily linked. Yeah. What do you think, Nate? Because it's not happening, is it?
What scares me about what the current environment is proving, you've hit the nail on the head. Teams used to be able to literally put on the table and say, we can offer you this Champions League, so on and so forth as well. Man United are one of those clubs in which have so much rich heritage and it is very hard to look at them and look away. As I said many a time, as an Arsenal fan as well, we've gone in for players, and then the next thing you read, Ronaldo, prime example. Sir Alex Ferguson physically poached him last second and went, "Come over here. We can offer you." And I'm actually going to say it live here as well. What Ronaldo did with Man United, he never could have done with Arsenal. Never in a million years. And that's something in which Sir Alex Ferguson, everyone has to recognise, we will never have a manager like that ever again. But moving on to Newcastle as a team, Eddie Howe's done, as you said, an incredible job, and their investments have been extremely smart as well. And I do feel a little bit sorry with them, with how flexible certain other teams I won't mention have been with their finance and being able to just spend for the sake of it. Other teams as well have been offered or been able to offer ridiculously long contracts and packages to cover that. Newcastle, I must say, I am huge fans of the way they're doing it, the proper way to stay in check and whatnot, ticking every box before they do anything. However, I think keeping Isak is a massive statement if they could do that, because for any other player looking at that club, if Newcastle sell him, that's really not one you want on the poster board saying, you know, we get good players and we sell them to our rivals. But yeah, it's down to how you look at their finance, obviously, and FFP, in which I do feel that certain teams are not getting away with things, but most certainly need to be challenged. I won't dive into Man City.
Don't get us started.
There's a time and a place for that, because that's coming at some point.
Don't get me and Chris started, Nate. We booted off last year when it was all going on, when we were getting held to account. It's an abomination, the whole thing.
I still think Chelsea as well should be. I know that they are making the money back, but like what we're looking at, two seasons, almost to three, that they've spent over $1 billion. You know, come on.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you got to think they tried buying their own ladies team as well, which, again, I'm well aware other teams have tried to do that abroad and been penalised as well for it. But literally, it's the sort of club in which I feel sorry for their fan base for what I'm about to say. They've got Todd, who's literally, he owns a separate company, so he's buying tickets or the ability to sell tickets at a higher rate before they're even on sale to their own fans. I mean, I don't know how I'd react if that was my chairman, I'll be honest with you. But I most certainly, if he was an Arsenal chairman, I'd be voting for him out. I'd be thinking we can't support this. But the way football has become a business is terrifying, the amount of power they've got. And I think that's one thing Ineos and Sir Jim Radcliffe, I can't believe I'm about to say this, has got to be praised for. Maybe not most of the decisions he's made, but he literally is trying to clear their debt every way possible. And take a look at Barcelona. I think they literally nearly made $1 billion turnover. It's something ridiculous to pay off their debt. How? I actually haven't looked into the figures there. But that's something in which, as I said, I'm totally with you. Chelsea, they should be penalised as well. And I do feel almost sorry, which I can't really dive in because it goes into the world of politics with how that sale went. So, yeah, with Abramovich being forced to sell the club, I do think the way he did it, I've got to clap him. Big pat on the back as well. He made it as smooth as possible, the transition, taking the debt with him. Honestly, what a fantastic chairman as well there. But yes, there are many things being highlighted that are now coming up, which again happened under his watch as well. So not everyone's perfect, but yeah, I won't dive into that.
I'll just put us into our final item. Me and Chris have had transfer news. Stuff's been happening. It's pretty crazy, really. So for the last couple of days, of course, as you can see there in the headline, Southampton won 45 million plus add-ons and a 25% sell-on clause for Tyler Diblin. That is what they've tabled to Everton. It's too much. It's too much. Me and Chris have been speaking throughout the day. It's ridiculous. He's 19. As Chris said to me, you know, Kubo, who we're heavily linked with from Sociedad, you know, you'd probably go for him over him. He's established. He's done it in Europe. He's played in Europe. This is ridiculous, isn't it, Chris?
I just think, you know, and fair dues to Southampton, because if Tyler Diblin was our player, we'd be doing the same like we did with Jarrod Brathwaite, you know, they rate a player because they know more so than we do, and maybe our scouts. They're saying that this is the biggest player to come out of their academy ever. So you're looking at, he's better than Gareth Bale, he's better than Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain. They're saying that this guy is the real deal. And I won't deny that the games I saw pretty much in the Premier League last season, they were really good. I saw him against Liverpool and they ripped them apart. The problem is with this deal is there's no upside for Everton because you pay 50 million. And just to say we do, and say 2 or 3 seasons he goes for 70, 80, we're not making no profit. There's no profit there. And it's no point in spending so much on a player that, because the potential is we're buying young players to sell on so we can carry on, the role like Brighton did, and we did very early on in the David Moyes era when we were getting, 5th and 7th, we were selling players on. There's no upside to this deal. There's absolutely no upside. And I said to you today, Stu, is I'd walk away because it's ridiculous. You're paying 50 million. So say, like off the top of my head now, my maths is shit. So, I could be wrong here. But say if we sold him for like 70, 80, in between that, you're looking at like Southampton are getting 30, 35 million, percentage-wise. And there's no upside to it. So, unless they come back down, you'd say it's got to be before the end of the weekend. I'd say probably tomorrow. This is the deal. You take it, leave it. And if they don't want it, we move on. We come back next summer, and I bet you we'll get him cheaper.
With Kubo, Chris, because you're in the loop a lot more than me on prices and release clauses and stuff. A gentleman on one of the Everton pages today said to me, it's 60 million release for Kubo. Euros. So again, but there's other targets, and as you've said, you can go to France and pick players up as well for cheaper. Essentially, you said that last week, didn't you? We reported to have 150 million to spend, weren't we? Well, that's a big chunk for Dibbling.
David Moyes has said he wants 9 or 10 players. Granted, you can get, because the free market, there's still a good ton of players out there you can get, but obviously they'd be, your players to come off the bench. You don't necessarily want to buy anyone other than like Jonathan David when he was available. Of course, he'd be in a heartbeat team, wouldn't he? Yeah. But obviously he's gone to Juve. But you're spending this on players that can come in and hit the ground running straight away. And I believe Tyler Dibbling probably would be that type of player that can come in on the right side and hit the ground running. For 50 million, it's just, and 25%, sell on is just not good enough. It's a piss take, but I get them as well at the same time because we would do it ourselves.
Branthwaite.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We
wanted 80. We probably wanted 80 in the end, didn't we? Really?
I think I would have gone 100.
Yeah. It goes for. I mean, it was, and even then they weren't willing to go any higher within 70. A lot of them teams. Nate, how do you think Everton will get on?
I'll be honest
where
with
can you see us finishing? As an outsider looking in on Everton.
I'll be honest with you. For me personally, with what an incredible end to the season. Yes, I know certain results didn't go your way, and as you just alluded to, pre-season with the 2-2 draw with Man United, I think 7th, and that's an honest answer. And the reason being is the teams around you at this moment in time just have that little bit more to it. But make no mistake, I do think Moyes is going to have a fantastic cup run. I love the way he pitches his teams. I love the way he pitches the youth. And I'll be honest with you, Southampton, they're forgetting. Everton, obviously, as you know, got a new stadium in which that needs to be looked after. They've got the maintenance on the old Goodson Park, which are going to the ladies' team, as you know. And I just think, you know what? Some teams are getting a little bit too into fantasy realm with what they want. And Southampton, I mean, again, I'll refer to, I think of Richard in the chat, who's a Charlton fan and whatnot as well. Teams back in the day heavily, literally invested in their youth. And again, Everton are one of those teams I can look at and go, wow. Man United have poached our youth as well, or 2 of them in particular. Yeah. Not many teams out there who can genuinely pose a list of names and just go, as you alluded to, Bale, Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Ward-Prowse, even as well, which again is in my opinion, one of the most underrated Premier League players in the past 10 years. You know, do I think he's worth 45 million with add-ons? No, I don't. Do I think he could be something special? Yes, I do. You know, even me pitching him, and I'm going to pitch him right down at 25 to 30 million. I think that would be okay. We're pushing the boat here, but 45. No, you can buy a ready-made player. And Brighton are willing to sell roughly, as you see, most of their players go for 50 million as well. Wolves have proven they're a selling club as well. So it's not as if you guys don't have options as well. And as you've alluded to as well, the French league is littered with young talent, untainted, unknown as well. The Bundesliga as well usually has a couple of gems as well in there. La Liga itself, it's not so much they haven't got gems out there. It's the sheer fact that they're very much homegrown and they don't like to move a lot as well. And I do find as well, it takes some players a little bit longer to acclimatise. But make no mistake as well, do I think he's got something in him? Yes, I do. And David Moyes, he's more than capable to moulding him into a far better player than he already is.
We cleared out so much as well. When you look at who's gone, the loans, a lot was loans, wasn't it, Chris? You know, he tried with certain ones. Lindstrom was too lightweight. He was too lightweight
anyway, hasn't he now?
Yeah. It's not bad. He's not a bad player. It's just the physicality, the Premier League, you could tell. And then he had the injury and stuff like that. Harrison, there just wasn't enough end product. There wasn't enough end product. And it was wages and stuff like that as well, even for him. But, you know, we're still getting linked with Grealish amongst all this as well.
But I still think, if I'm honest, say if we were to get Devlin, I still think Grealish would still come in if the opportunity, you know, it appears itself. We have spoken to Grealish. He's happy to come to Everton if the opportunity for Man City and Everton can agree on something. We have spoken to Man City and we have said we want a loan deal because obviously, you could pay 30 million for Grealish, but we can't afford 300 grand. You know, a month is just suicide for us at the moment. But, you know, I mean, if we can subsidize a loan and give them, say, 10 million on loan fee, and then they say like 150, we'd have to pay a month for his wages. I'd take that.
Off the back of what Decore was getting paid, it's not actually that much more. I know different positions. I get that, but Decore was stealing a wage. Not his fault. That's what the powers that be gave him. You know, so you offset that, and he'd be your premium wage. He'd be the highest earner, Grealish. He'd be above Pickford then.
But he's warranted that.
Oh, absolutely. He just needs to get game time again because he's had nothing. He's had nothing there. And don't forget, it's a World Cup coming up as well. If he wants to be in that England squad, Everton, it'd be brilliant. And that's not just me saying that as a blue. It'd be great for him, and it'd give him a really good chance.
It's fine, mate. We're Evertonians. The only worry I've got here is obviously Maddison getting injured, and would Spurs sniff at Grealish if the opportunity then comes? Because he'd fit the bill, wouldn't he?
He's a Tottenham type player, isn't he?
Yeah, but you know. There was McAtee, wasn't there, James McAtee? But obviously we pivoted to Dewsbury Hall because I think originally, from what I was reading and listening to people through, the Everton's ins and outs that they speak to people, is we were offered McAtee at 25 million earlier on in the window, but we were holding off. We did speak to him. He spoke to a few English clubs, then went to Germany, didn't he? And then he come back, and then Tottenham and that Gibbs White thing blew everything out the water. And then City went from 25 to 35.
And that's
it's a big thing where you think Dewsbury Hall we're getting for 25 and it's below 30. I think it's 29 overall, isn't it? Established, played for Leicester, he's played for Chelsea. And he's he's already established in the Premier League. Again, as we said, Nate said and we've said, is he's good to go straight away. And
box to box, like you said, we need energy. We need energy in that middle. Yeah. You called it. He's perfect. And I felt for him last season. Conference League, he was playing all the games. He only played 13 games in the Premier League, and he probably didn't start many of them either. On top of that,
look who's in front of him, Stu. But look who's in front of him, though.
I know. But even the Chelsea fans are gutted, because they do like him as a player. I've heard of several Chelsea fans who I know want to work with. He goes, you're getting a good player, and he's chuffed that he's going to Everton because he's going to play. He's going to play so much more. So sorry, Nate.
No, don't be so. Again, I was just about to add on with it being a World Cup season, I'll call it, if you will. A lot of players, we're going to see them try and take that next step and whatnot and push themselves. And I'll be honest with you, for me personally, Everton are a really attractive proposition right now. As you said, big clear out and whatnot, so you can offer regular football as well as a manager who is going to pay attention and cultivate you into a better player. And I do think, this is where people like Son is why he's leaving Tottenham. There are certain clubs out there who can offer bigger money, but are they the right step anymore? And yet there was a period of time where you looked at Tottenham. Obviously, they had Lennon, they had Bale, again, a very young Harry Kane coming through as well. They used to be, and I can't believe they didn't pitch the right deal to players. They could have been something. And then obviously they became the selling club. And they broke into top four, and that was almost their achievement. Oh my God, we've made it! And they, for whatever reason, David Levy just never invested to take them into that next level. But I do think Everton, I mean, you look over the past 10 years, the amount of money that's been invested in that club and whatnot, but unfortunately hasn't ever had the right management. And I do feel Ancelotti, obviously, I don't agree with how he left. I understand why he left. I don't agree with how he left. And it doesn't change behind the scenes, obviously, what's happened. I won't go through with that again, that political. But I do think David Moyes is the man to back. And he proved with West Ham, you don't, as I alluded to earlier as well, regards offline with Leicester, don't need to spend hundreds of millions to make a winning team. You need the right manager. You need the best atmosphere you can get, a good team spirit. And 9 times out of 10, the teams that actually do something special, usually there's minimal drama. And I do think if you look at, I'm going to use my lovely Arsenal for this example as well. Last season, it was almost inevitable we weren't going to win it because we already had the mindset of, we're the nearly team and this, that, and t'other, waiting for the first injury. And you just saw the heads drop the moment, oh my God, we've lost the man. Even though we might have been going for a really good run and whatnot, still heads dropped and whatnot. And I do think that's somewhere Arteta does need to improve. I love some of his team talks. I love the buzz he brings and whatnot as well. But having that plan B, that's really important in today's Premier League. And I'm going to quickly go to Man United. During yourselves, obviously, in the 2-2 draw, that's the first proper time I've seen him try a different tactic as well. Again, having 2 up top as well and bouncing off each other and whatnot. And Bruno looked to have a little bit more fun and whatnot. Mainu is one to watch out for, same as Ahmad. But with David Moyes, he has proven time and time again he can change teams for the better. And I do think if he was given more time and the right backing at Man United, he could have done something. Maybe not be anywhere near Ferguson, obviously.
It's hard to go do that anyway, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah. It's just whoever was coming into that chair was never going to do well. I mean, literally, he made an average team look incredible. And
Van Gaal got the war chest when he came in as well. I've said it. Yeah. I've said it time and time again. He was given loads of money. Moyes was given nowhere near the amount of money. He had to do it on a shoestring. He brought Fellaini in and people like that, but he didn't spend what Van Gaal had straight away. They went full tilt with Van Gaal at the time, which was a lot of money. I think it was a couple of $100 million at the time. So he was hamstrung. Am I partial? Because it's Moyes, probably, the way I felt about that at the time. But Ferguson wanted him. Ferguson wanted him as the heir apparent. He called for him. He called for him, didn't he? That's who he wanted. But yeah, we've got him back now anyway. Nate, before we go, if you can plug your TikTok channel, please, what you do on the TikTok channel, and just where people can find you.
Again, for me, we'll start off with what I love talking about. Is not just Arsenal, it's just football in general. It doesn't have to be the Premier League as well. I'm a big advocate of football is meant to be shared by all. So again, feel free. M Rogers 90 as well. Come along, have a free chat anytime as well. And again, always pop on here, football now and then. or then and now. Sorry.
No problem. No problem at all. You're going to be coming back on with us for a retro look at Arsenal. So I spoke to you previously. We're going to pre-tape it. It's going to go out probably in a few weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks' time, that one. But obviously, we wanted to come on live with you to talk current stuff, of course. And just thank you for coming on, and all the best to Arsenal. I think it is make or break for Arteta this year. He's going to have to do something, and I don't think a cup's going to suffice. He's got to get one of the big ones. They've won the cups. He's got to go in there and win. He's got to win either the Premier League or the Champions League, which, you ran it close last year.
I've got to say something as well, and a lot of Arsenal fans disagree with me. Honestly, I cannot say and give enough praise to PSG and the way Enrique managed that team. Absolutely phenomenal to take PSG all the way against the odds. Even people, when they're in the final after the way they played throughout the season, still going, oh no, they haven't got big names, this and that. Dembele, even when he was at Barcelona and injured, still popping in, I still remember him before. I just thought, this guy has got something, but they have got a lot of young players who have been able to literally pick up the reins. And people like Neymar and Messi straight away should be looking back and just going, that should remind them back in the day of when they first burst on the scenes and whatnot as well. And I do think PSG themselves, it's the best lesson for Arsenal. It gave us that reminder, look, you made it that little bit further. But as I alluded to with Arteta, doesn't matter if you've got injuries or not. You need that plan B. And that's where that manager, that really, really special manager, is able to just switch up a gear. And again, people like Ancelotti, there's a reason why he's won multiple Champions Leagues and several leagues. Doesn't matter what country you look at. What a manager. Jose Mourinho, back in the day, again, maybe not so recently, but there was a guy who used to be able to change it on the pitch and just rattle players and managers and whatnot. So everyone's got their own style. But again, it hurts me to say this. There was a period in which Arsene Wenger nailed it. He had the Invincibles and whatnot as well. And obviously losing a whole back line in one hit. Yes, you can look at it and go, well, you had a young Ashley Cole or Sol Campbell coming in. I won't go into the whole team and whatnot as well. As you alluded to, we'll talk about retro later. But that's a lot of things in which most teams in today's world, we all talk about that depth. And I would love to be able to sit down with a manager and go, why don't you have that depth? You don't need to be spending mega bucks. Is it maybe certain buys, as we alluded to with Victor over Sesko, are a little bit cheaper? There's deals off the table that are maybe linked with other players or agencies they're brought through as well. What is going on behind the scenes? And as I said, I do think the Championship, there's a lot of untapped talent down there and whatnot as well. So you don't need to necessarily spend like what Southampton want, 45 million, but there is talent there. And the only other thing I will say as well, just before I stop, that actually is a really concerning sign for me that Southampton have put an unrealistic sign. So is there potentially a concern that they too might be falling short of FFP? Is there a financial issue there?
Potentially. There is one more player, Stuart, that we all link with, Tom Fellows from West Brom. He's highly rated as well. They only want 15 to 20 million for him. And then there's Jason Knight from Bristol City. I know he's a bit older. As Nate says, there's players there. Obviously, they want a bit more money than they used to when we were here originally. But I agree, there are players down there that are hungry to make an impact in the Premier League.
Look at who. Look who Bournemouth brought up with. Who they came in with when they were first coming up. They did it with players, Championship players. They didn't sign loads and loads of people. And Moyes was known for that years ago, bringing players up from the lower division. It's still a thing. And yeah, Fellows definitely. Just the links, and for so long, it's been 6 months, hasn't it? Maybe longer that we've been linked with him. So yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Add something onto Bournemouth as well quickly. There's another club in which you look at last season with how well they did defensively. At top of my mind, I think, including Kepa, by the way, I think they've lost 4 out of 5 of their back line as well, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously,
they have.
Us, PSG, I think Liverpool got one as well, Real Madrid. I'm sure there's one player left there at this moment in time from out their back five. So that's a really interesting club to look out for. See how they'll do next season. So,
It's imperative for them that Semenyo stays. I mean,
Agreed.
I heard witterings about him early on in the window, but it doesn't seem to be happening. They need to keep hold of him. They need to, whatever happens, and obviously even Nilsson only came last year, so he'd be fine, won't he? But he had the injury, came back in. So they need to make sure they can keep them too. Semenyo above everybody. But yeah, Nate, we're going to bring you back in for a pre-tape, of course. We're going to talk about the glory days of Arsenal with you over the years. Thank you so much for coming on. And yet follow Nate at nrogers90 on TikTok. He covers all sports, predominantly football, but you do F1 as well. You do all sorts of stuff. So yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And we'll see you very, very soon for episode 72 of Football Then and Now. Take care, everybody.
Cheers.
Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.